Welcome to Deal Talk. I'm Jeff Veit. We're going to talk about avoiding dealer tricks, buying smart, and current events in the auto industry again this week. We're going to help you make the best choices and the best deal you could possibly make on a new vehicle, truck, home, boat, I don't care, motorcycle, whatever. This all applies. You can apply all this stuff. Yep, there's no tricks to it. The hard left is trying to do as much as they can to get their ideas accepted before the coming election a year away. The fake news, they talk about EV sales being up as though there's been a breakthrough in product acceptance. Not. EV sales are not up. It's funny on the news, they try to make you think that, but if you watch the market news and the companies, what's going on with them, you look at Toyota, Volkswagen, Volkswagen has the highest debt of any major corporation in the world, $690 billion. And the EVs aren't selling, EV sales are not up. Car vehicle sales are down because of low product availability, and that makes EV sales look like they're up, but they're not up. With gas sales down, the percentage of the market is bigger because of the fact that gas sales are down because they don't have as much product. And there's a really big shortage of used vehicles now because people are smart and they're not going to buy that stuff. They're just not buying electric vehicles. Many of them realize the common sense of it. They're not blindly getting involved without looking at the facts. Compared to their inventories, electric inventories that are just shock you. Do they have electric vehicles now that sell for $33,000? No, they don't. They have vehicles that may have a base sticker at some point is $33,000, but end up over $40,000. Even a stripped little box with room enough for 3 people is $40,000. There's just no way, and it's not a good investment. It's a terrible investment. And the public's becoming aware of the many, many issues that electric vehicles have. There's a lot more fires and deaths caused by fires. They're still priced for the wealthy only. There's no resale value whatsoever. You can't get a dealer to take one and trade for any significant amount of money. And they're still crazy inconvenient. They talk about better mileage. No, they talk about optimum circumstances. But if you're going to run other things like the air conditioner and other things while you're driving, and you're going to drive at over 30 miles an hour, it's not going to get the kind of distance they talk about. It just never gets there. It's just so the electric vehicle thing is, I didn't have anything special new to tell you about except for Volkswagen's getting beat up. And, companies like Toyota are just backing off. They're backing off on electric vehicles. They know they're not going to work. They've been around for 200 years. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that it's just probably not a good investment. Had it been an easy way to make the distance go and the batteries work, it would have been discovered a long time ago. It's just not. You're just pushing things around, pushing the pencil around the desk. You can't do much about what's going on in that market right now. In that product, you're not going to get to where it makes any sense. Lithium and all those things are terrible expensive. We don't have any here, and this is the electric vehicle sale is good for China. That's another case of our president, right? I read an article this week by Microsoft Network, right? That's a big outfit, Microsoft Network, MSN, right? It was a list of what to do when buying. There was a few basic no shit points that literally everyone already knows that they talked about, and a couple out of 7. I think there was a list of 7 or 8. They had a couple of them wrong, completely wrong. I was thinking to myself, Bill Gates strikes again. I know it's not him, but I was thinking to myself, it just means that the article was written by somebody that doesn't know. And they took information from other things off the network to come up with something to write about. But I'm going to mention them because Microsoft Network is big, and those points could hurt you. One they said was not to negotiate the sticker price because that is thousands less than the cost, or thousands more than the cost. They talk about Edmunds Blue Book being the start, which is the wrong book to start from anyway, even if you're looking at a used vehicle, right? The point, you could be looking at books on a used vehicle, but you always start with a sticker on a new vehicle because the one thing that doesn't change from dealer to dealer for exactly equipped vehicles of the same make is the sticker price. So the only way you're going to be able to compare apples with apples and to get a real comparison for negotiating is if you are aware of the sticker price and deal from those numbers. Nothing says you have to buy it at the sticker price. I'm just saying that's where you start from because it's something that everybody understands. The dealer understands, you understand, and it's a known fact in the marketplace. Now, the markup from sticker to cost is different from company to company, so you can't just arbitrarily say, well, you should pay $3,000 less. You don't know. Everything's different, and it has to do with availability and resale value and all those things. And that's why it's so important to do the due diligence and get a lot of different factors from other dealers so you can get some intelligent decision made about the price. So they were way off on that one. They really don't understand just, working from knowledge and not, feelings. It's their feelings. They make the decision, I don't feel it's right. Second one that they did is they said, never buy dealer add-ons. That's another bad advice. Nobody should ever think, I'm not going to buy any dealer add-ons. No. In other words, you don't bury your head in the sand. There could be many things you should buy from a dealer add-on list, depending on your circumstances. You should listen to their suggestions on how they work and what good they do for you and what's available. The question is price. There are many dealer add-ons that are a good investment, but, not for the price they want, maybe. That's the thing, like rust proofing or paint sealant or fabric guard or, etch in the windows or, a lot of different things, dent protection or, I don't know what your circumstances are, but if you give you an example, if you park in a parking lot every day with a lot of cars, dent protection is probably a good idea if it's cheap enough. You just got to shop the price. That's it. It's all about price. It's not about don't buy anything from the dealer's list, but don't buy anything for a ridiculous price from the dealer's list. That's what they should have said, but of course they didn't. They said, no, don't buy any of that stuff. They don't know other than the obvious things, They don't really know about buying cars. They should stick to software. I think that's where they should stay. The Microsoft Network, they do a good job of that, mostly a good job of that, and let's leave the rest of it alone. Just get a good price on this stuff. Know what it is. That's part of the due diligence. If you know you're going to buy rust proofing and paint sealant and Scotch Guard, shop the price. Know what the prices are. It could be a huge difference. I'll give you an example. Paint sealant could be anywhere from $200 or $300 at a dealer or $400 to a shop along the highway that does it for $100 to buying a bottle of paint sealant and doing it yourself for $20. I don't know where you stand. If you're the type, I'm not going to do the paint sealant. Okay, fine then. You might want to stop at the shops along the road or look in the phone book under the, look up paint sealant online, type it into Google and see what it comes up with. Yeah, you don't ignore the stuff because it's from a dealer. It's got nothing to do with where it comes from. What I've been saying for all the time that I've been talking with you is that it's not about not buying it. It's about not paying stupid money for it. That's what happens. It's not about not paying stupid money for anything. These are all the things you should have thought about prior to sitting down to talk a deal anyway. In fact, this week we're going to talk about what to do once you've completed your due diligence and research. That's it. So you've done all your stuff. You've checked all your numbers. You've got all your stuff together. Now what? Okay, we're going to talk about that. We've talked about it before, but time for review. That's a big, important part of the deal. If you like the podcast, take a couple of minutes and do a review on iTunes or Google Play. A lot of you do, and a lot of you don't, Whichever you use. If you've already done a review, thank you very much. I really appreciate the people that have. Don't forget to tell your friends and relatives about the podcast. They'll save money, and you'll be a hero, and that'll be cool, right? Those of you who'd like some written material to carry with you when you're shopping, get a copy of The Informed Buyer from Amazon Kindle or Barnes & Noble Nook. I was looking on there this week on Amazon and looking at the reviews. There was only like 19 or 20 reviews on there that I could find for the Informed Buyer. And the lowest score I got was 4 stars. Most of them were 5 stars. And it's $3. $3. And you know what? They hadn't sold any in 4 days on Amazon. I thought to myself, how can people not buy this for $3? How could you take the chance and say, I'm not giving them that $3. I'm not spending the $3. I don't get it. You spend $3 more than that going out driving through Starbucks today? It cost me $3.68 for a cup of coffee. $3 for a book that might save you thousands? It literally could save you thousands of dollars. It has saved other people thousands. It might only save you $200 or $300 because you remembered something, but it's $3, right? You could save maybe 100 times that, or you could save maybe 300 times that, or whatever. And so go on, Kindle or go on Barnes & Noble and spend the $3 and download it to your smartphone. It only takes a minute. You can do it while you're sitting at the front of the television or sitting in your car. You could download the booklet. And it's good to have it with you when you're going to buy a vehicle. You got nothing to lose for $3. And then when you're done with it, you can pass it on to somebody else to use. Let someone else use it. It's crazy for you not to spend the money, the $3. Spend the $3. It's not going to bring you, think about it. If it's $3 and I get $1.20 of the $3, if there was 1,000 of them sold today, I'd end up with $1,200. Right? It's like, what's the big, I'm not doing it for the money is my point. I'm doing it to help and to help you with the podcast that really works, to prove that it really, really works. The people that contacted me have been right, though. Real knowledge trumps tricks and pressure. Everything from how to gather all the information you need to make a deal, when to buy, what to consider, what questions to get answered, how to handle your trade-in, on and on and on. If you've been listening through all of those episodes, and there's hundreds of them, you know all the answers and most of the boundaries that you have to follow. If you have a trade-in, you've stopped and checked the books, right? If you have a payoff on your trade, you know how much it is, right? From investigations, picking a model, you should know what dealers you prefer, have a good idea what dealer you want to deal with, because how you're treated in that situation tells you a lot about the culture of that dealership. You've obtained your Beacon score. You have the current finance rates. You know where you stand with the banks. You really, literally have all the answers. You really do. You know exactly what the market as good as the dealer knows it at this point, if you've done the stuff. That's the thing, if you've done it. Now all your research will pay off. In relation to what you put into your due diligence is direct relation to that. How much due diligence you did is how much it's going to pay off for you. But it'll pay off no matter how much you do. It just gets, the more you do, the better it gets. Obviously, there's still some variables you can't foresee, although you might predict them, right? The mood and experience level of a salesperson you meet, plus the culture of the dealership you prefer, you know already what it's going to be like at a particular dealership a lot of times. Not always, but if you've been in there and drove vehicles and talked with people, you got a good idea. You can tell from meeting the employees and seeing what's going on. You can tell when people are happy and when they're not happy. I'm not an AutoNation lover, personally. I don't think their prices are good on cars. They're one price and they're kind of ho-hum. But everything else about the AutoNation store, Toyota store that I was in recently was top notch. Everybody's in a good mood. Everybody's happy. I got treated right. The time element was good, but the car deal wasn't so good. So I haven't bought a car from that outfit, but I do go there for service and stuff. So the fact is that negotiating successfully requires that you know what you're talking about. Not just the basics, but your local market as well. You need to know all those things. Hopefully you've thoroughly done all the things I mentioned at the beginning, right? Many buyers make unknowing offers and get aggressive and rude, but they know these things don't work. That doesn't work when you do that. It doesn't go, I'll give you $2,000 less, and if they say yes, get out of the way, boy. There's a reason they said yes. Wild offers have just as much chance of being too much as they have of being too little. You don't have to do that. That's not the way to get a deal. Many times people make a price offer or a payment offer, and just because the dealer says no and tries to bump the deal, they think that they're on the right track. Well, this must be the right kind of money I'm coming up with because they're trying to bump me on the price. No, that's not the case. Wild offers have just as much chance of being too much as too little. And you could make that offer to them, right? And the fact is, no matter what you offer them, they're going to try to bump you. I don't care what you offer them. I don't care what number you give them. They're going to try to get more, right? And the reason why is because buyer's remorse. It's a very common problem in sales. And if you're in sales, whatever you sell, buyer's remorse is a factor, right? Imagine you had a building for sale for $300,000 and you offered them $260,000 for it. The building, it was $300,000. You didn't. Someone else had the building, and you offered him $260,000 for it. And all they said was, okay, what would you think? Oh, my God. Buyer's remorse would go crazy, right? Talking about 40 G's, talking about a $300,000 building. It would set in, and you'd freak out about the money you left on the table. You might cancel the whole deal. This is why no matter where you are in the price, the dealer will try to bump you. You might cancel, or you're going to try to get them down past that, and that'll mean your word's no good, and then the deal will fall apart anyway. Just how is it in almost any sales situation, not just automobiles? It happens in every type of sales there is. That's why it's so important you don't make offers until you've gotten numbers from them, where they are. That's really important. You know, we talked about that a lot of times. We're going to go over that a little later, too. You need to be prepared that the due diligence has got you there, so you are prepared. Besides the diligence, there are some other subtleties, right? I mentioned now, quick reminder, besides your due diligence, never say you're shopping. Never tell them that. I'm shopping price. Give me your best price. No, don't do that, because you just disqualified yourself from getting that, right? And never say you're paying cash. Nope, that doesn't help you. People think that intimidates the dealer. Nope, it's exactly the opposite. All that tells him is that he's probably not going to make any other money on you, so he's got to make it on the vehicle. Whenever the dealer is talking during negotiation, hold your lips together tightly and listen. Let them play their cards, right? In your mind, question everything. Don't take anything on face value, and just because it's written in front of you does not mean that it's true. There can be a lot of things written on a piece of paper, a worksheet in front of you, that aren't really going to be the story later on. That's why it's so important that you pay attention and not talk. The price may not be out the door. When they present a price, just ask it, if to see it in writing, to see it's more clear for you if it's in writing, and ask them to do that. You can't do the math in your head. Ask about anything beyond the quoted price. What does this not include? After the niceties are over and you've picked out a vehicle from the inventory, you're sitting down and they're presenting a price, sit quietly and wait. They present all this to you. This is what it's going to this is your monthly payment. Eventually the salesperson will say something. You've heard his pitch and you're not talking. It's not time for your facts yet, so don't think about that's what you're going to do. The salesperson will talk, and if experienced, take an assumptive closing technique, and they'll try to get you to buy, right? Asking a question like, how do you want to register this, or will this be in one name or two, or something like that, so that the purchase is assumed. You would ignore those questions and ask the salesperson for a better price. Can you do better? After he explains his numbers trying to justify his price, just say, yes, I understand you've quoted me, but can you do better? I would like a better price. And now you stop talking. The salesperson will continue to justify his price, but if you wait patiently, the salesperson will eventually get up and go to his boss, and they'll offer you something more. That will happen. That I guarantee you, every 100% of the time. After their second offer, give it a minute, and you make an offer of 5 to 10% less than the best internet price you received during your due diligence. So let's say they offered you $25,000. Best price you got in the internet price was $26,000. So you do 10% less than that $26,000, which would be $23,500. So you're at $23,500. You'd offer them $23,500. It's possible it might be fairly close to what the dealer's second price was at that point, but that's where you go. And remember, as long as your price is less than your best due diligence and less than the dealer's second quote, you're winning, because your offer is based on a real internet prices. The dealer will feel as though you're on track and you know what you're talking about. And let's face it, when you're buying something or selling something, you can tell when the person knows what they're talking about, and that changes the way you act, and what techniques you might use would change. The salesperson will squabble and try to sell you on the second price that they offered you, usually ignoring your offer, ignore it, and then they'll have the manager come over, who may come over and talk to you. They call it a TO, turnover in the automobile business. And sometimes this intimidates customers and pressures them to give in, but don't. Be pleasant and polite. Eventually the dealer will either offer you a little bit better price again, something less, or that last price they gave you they might just say, no, I can't do any better. You got my best number. I've given you some number else. I can't do any better. But you got to wait till they get to that point where they have to say that. So normally what will happen is after they've given you one price, they presented you with a price, then you asked for a better price, then they gave you a little better price, then you made them an offer, then they'll still give you even a little bit more usually on top of that. Not every dealer, but most of them will on top of that. They may say no, but whichever they do, they try to bump you on the price or they say no. Now you can release the hounds. Until now, they've kept your facts and research under your belt, right? And now you'll justify your price offer. Now you're going to come out and talk about the area that you live in, the market, and the model, and explain how research many dealers' prices and pick their dealership to buy if possible, but that you already had prices that were better, and how much you've been around, how many dealers you've gotten involved, and those sorts of things. Now, you're not even talking about your trade yet. You're buying the vehicle. Now, if you're all working into one deal, the trade and the price all together, okay, well, you got to take that in consideration. You got to say, well, they're probably going to be giving me more for my trade. But normally, I always recommend to people to keep those two separate. Make the deal on a new vehicle, and then bring out the trade. Tell them you've changed your mind, you've decided to trade. Don't quote a payment yet. But if you're going to start talking payments, use a payment calculator based on your numbers. At this point, the dealer is near his bottom price, and he knows you're an educated buyer. There's no question about it. They'll try to convince you their price is legitimate. They're going to talk to you like you're an educated buyer, and they're going to tell you what appears to be the real skinny. And you got to remember, the salesperson really never knows where the best price is. The manager knows, and sometimes they don't even know. They just decide and bite the bullet and make a deal. If there's a trade involved, there's a lot of flexibility, right, on the trade. But if you keep that separate, you can use that to get down even more in the price. If they ask you, and a lot of times they'll come down to, why are you at number? How did you pick that? Why are you, I've already explained my research. I've talked with others, and that puts me at this number today. If they aren't moving, you can offer the little that you held back. So you remember you were 5 or 10% less than your best due diligence, and that was still more, a lot less than their $25,000. So you're at, let's say, 23.6, and they came down to 24.7. You might go, you could go 300 or 400 more and say, okay, well, look, how about 24,000? We'll meet in the middle. Would that work? And see if that works. You could do that if you wanted or not. You can do that later. You're kind of, if I could, you would, you hit him. That's the thing. That's kind of unheard of. That'll throw them off base. But don't be afraid to walk. If you get up and walk, the dealer will call you back. Do not worry. I'll guarantee you 100% of all the people that get up and walk will be called back by the dealer. You can also say that you think you can get the price that you're offering to them from someone based on your research, and you think they are missing an opportunity, but be pleasant. It may turn out eventually that last price they gave you is the best price. So you can say to them, look, I think I can get this number at this other store. And, I'd be crazy to buy from you. I'm pretty sure I can. And then if they let you out, then, if you can't get the number or you don't get a better price, you can always call back and say, you were right. I'm going to go with your deal. They didn't give me the number. And they won't say, no, that was only today. No, that never happened. Believe me, they'll go back and give you the deal that they told you. Don't ever think that they won't give you the deal later. That's an old ploy that they'll use that's saying that, oh, yeah, well, that's only good for today, this and that. It's never the case. Never, ever, ever. You can make that deal later on. You can call them back and say, you know what, I think it over and I've decided to take your deal. It's fine. Other key points are that don't take their position personal, first of all. Don't think that they're just being tough for whatever reason. They're just doing what they think is the right thing, and you're doing what you think is the right thing. There's nothing personal, no anger needed in these situations. You can be assertive but not aggressive. Be prepared to walk. If you're 5% lower than the lowest internet quote out of 4, if you're 5% below that, so, on a $20,000 car, that's $1,200, $1,500, then you may and probably are at a real deal. So keep that in mind. They may have a pretty good deal made, but when you leave, you aren't leaving that deal. You're putting it on hold. Believe me, don't think for a second that they're not going to do that deal. That's never the case. Trade negotiations is the other side of the process. You must understand the difference between ACV and allowance. You got both of those numbers when you're doing research, shopping your trade. ACV is the actual wholesale value of your trade in, what it's really worth in the market to dealers. The amount for your trade without any discounts, over allowance, or special add-on to. That's a number used car dealers offered you for your vehicle when you were talked about selling it. It's what they'll currently pay for a vehicle like yours. That is wholesale. That's not retail. That's not the retail value. That's the wholesale value. That wholesale value is likely the average of the amounts you were offered by used vehicle dealers when you shopped your trade. And if you've negotiated the deal on a new one separately, then the dealer will be looking at ACV on your trade, the actual cash value, because he's already given you the discounts and the money's off on the new one. That's why shopping your trade is part of the due diligence. The beauty is you have the opportunity to maximize your trade number as well as to lower the price on the new vehicle. So you got two chances to get a better deal, and it's no chance of you getting a worse deal. And you're handling them separately. Again, they'll quote you a trade price on, a price on your trade. You'll again ask for a better number, and then after the rebuttal, you'll offer a number for your trade that is 10% more than the highest used car dealer offered. So if the highest used car dealer offered you $6,200, you'd offer them 60. You tell them you want 68. Doesn't mean you can't come down. You got to, it's tough to go up. So if the average of the used offers is 4,000 and you request 44, that'd be about right. And if their number is already the highest, you would just add 10%. And so if they're already at the highest number that you had, well, then add 10%. Most they can say no. You don't say, well, they already give me one of the best of the rest, so I'll just say yes. No. Nope, you don't just say yes. Nope. This method of dealing makes it clear as to where you are and what you're actually getting in the deal. Also, in most states, after you settle the trade, you'll get that number plus a reduction in the amount of sales tax equal to your trade-in value times the tax rate. So that's 42 or 43 out of 50 states only tax the difference between your trade and the vehicle you're buying. So let's say your final deal was $22,500 out the door without a trade. And then the trade-in number is 10% more, so they end up giving you $7,700 or $7,300. They offered you $7,000, you said $77,000, you guys settled on $73,000. They offer you $73,000 for your trade. You owe nothing on your trade. The final bottom line would be $22,500 minus $7,300. Let's say the tax rate is 7%, less that tax on your trade, that's $511. So now your final bottom line after your trade would be $15,711. You got $73 plus the savings on the tax, so that's a total of $7,811 off from the $22,500. If you've done it right, you should be about $2,500 below what you would have been offered on a deal originally. All handled through good, verifiable information and honest negotiation. If you insist on working both the trade and a new vehicle as a single process, you should figure out these numbers based on your internet quotes and the used vehicle dealer prices that you were offered, and then shoot 10% less than that on a single process. I mean, you can do it that way, but that's not the best way. That's not the way that's going to get you the best deal. And you're just trying to get it down as low as you can, and that's the way to get it as low as you can. And you're in what a great position you're in. Think about that. The fact is that the lowest out-the-door due diligence price you already got off the internet in your due diligence, minus the highest used car dealer price that you got offered by a used car dealer, equals the worst deal you can get before you even went into the dealership. Before you even went in, the best due diligence online and the trade from a used car dealer, that was the worst deal you could get. Now all you can do is make that deal better. So you're really in the driver's seat. You got a lot going on in your favor. You really can't lose. This is based on due diligence you've already done. The goal is to get a great deal and be polite and fair during the entire process. There's many ways to negotiate, but the basics are always the same. Plan the basics first, the model, the credit, the finance info, the due diligence. You do that first. Don't talk unless you have to during the dealing. That's the thing. People talk too much. You don't talk unless you have to. Let them do all the talking. That's not control. Them doing the talking puts you in control. Separate your purchase and your trade-in if possible. That's the strongest suggestion I can make for you. That will really make a difference. Never tell them you're shopping. Never say that. Say, I picked your dealership to buy from, if we can get together on price. Never say how you're paying until the deal is settled. Once you've made a deal, you got the price settled and your trade settled, now you can talk about, well, I think I'm going to finance it. And the dealer say, well, let us talk to you about the finance. And you can compare that to the banks you already got numbers from. Always know what their numbers represent and how they got there. You need to know that. They may have already quoted your payments. You need to know where those come from. That's where we talk about total information. We talk about that, right? It's just like the out-the-door figure. And that's important. They call that CPI, right? Complete payment information. You always get that. But don't ever be afraid or too busy to walk. You're not walking away from anything. You're not leaving anything. You're just putting it on hold. They're never going to shut you out because you left. Never. Not in a million years. You got nothing to worry about. Remember that. That's how you set up the negotiation after your due diligence. But none of that works unless you've done the work. But the beauty is that if you've done the work, you can save. You can get a thousands better deal than you would normally get. Dealers are, they're not the mystery that we think they are. They're not difficult. They're just trying to maximize their profit, just like you're trying to maximize your discount. That's all it is. Well, that's Deal Talk for this episode. If you have a question or a request or even a comment, please call or text or email me. Buy a copy of The Informed Buyer. Any callers or text is 407-801-4071. That's 407-801-4071. For email, it's dealtalk@mail.com. Don't forget to do a review and do yourself a favor by getting a copy of The Informed Buyer from Amazon or Nook. I know I talked about it a lot today, but it doesn't make any sense to me. I got the price right down there where it's almost nothing. I'm not making any money on it. The best $3 you'll ever spend, and it'll help you. It'll help you every single time. You want to be a hero? Tell your friends and family about Deal Talk. Be a hero when they save. However I can help you, contact me and you'll hear from me. Everybody hears from me that contacts me. Every single person. And remember, every payment you get should be CPI, complete payment information, amount, months, rate, any down payment required to get to those terms. Not on just the first payment, right? Nope. But every single time they quote you a payment, you get that information. And every price you get has to be all in. Don't let them tell you that $20,000 plus fees or it's bottom line $28,000. You need to know what the total is. Every single cost, the tax, the plates, the dealer fee, aftermarket options, everything. You want to know what the total out the door. You want the OTD.